fresh. Who's up, good?
All right. What up, RBI?
What's up, bro?
How you doing?
Man, I'm chilling, man. It's quite a rainy day in the DMV today, so it's been sapping my energy a bit,
same
man.
here in New York. It's sort of well, it's cloudy, but you know.
Word.
But
otherwise, I'm good, brother. I'm good, man. You know, I'm a broad thinking type of guy, man. You know, generally life is good, man.
That's great, man.
Yeah.
Nah, we've known each other for a long time.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, like day one stuff.
Yeah, day one. Just like thinking back of like, you know, when I actually met you through my brother and Slim Cat.
Right.
Yeah, man. He's like, yeah, this is DJ RBI. It's like
Yeah, that's dope, man.
Word.
Yeah, rest in peace to Philly too, man.
Yeah, yo. And I knew there was something there. Every time I seen your presence, it's just like, you know, it's just like, yeah, this guy is gonna do something like big, and here we are.
For sure. Most definitely.
Word up. So, welcome to Fresh Convos Season 2, and we're gonna start off. Why don't you tell everybody where you're from?
I'm from DC, Washington, DC. You know what I mean? A true DMVer. You know, I have a lot of experiences outside of the city, but you know, I'm homegrown from the area. You know, or as people from here like to say, the area. You know, what I mean? I don't speak like that, but you know, I understand it. It's the pedigree, you know.
Now, have you like moved in different parts of DC, or have you remained at the same spot?
Well, generally, I moved around quite a few places. I mean, I've been around here, you know, for a few decades. So, thing about it is, most of my time in DC. I mean, when I was very, very young, I lived in Suitland for a brief period. I lived off of Addison Road, right outside of DC for a brief period. But I was really young. I was probably like 2 or something like that, 2 or 3.
Right.
But that was brief though. For the most part, my parents moved us back into the city, and I stayed in Northeast for pretty much my entire time in DC. Wow. Always somewhere in Northeast. Never moved to any other quadrant of the city. I was always a Northeast guy. So from, you're talking Anacostia Ave, you're talking Bennett Road, you know, talking Brooklyn, you know, always Northeast.
That's dope. Well, we'll get into it later, but I know we're gonna start talking about like, you know, well, the early days and then up to like the changes.
Right.
Changes all the way through. But let's start off with something early. What era of hip hop inspired you? Like, you know, do you remember like your first the first time you heard a hip hop song, or which hip hop era did you like really get into the music?
All right, so I'm gonna give you 3 answers.
Okay.
First time hearing hip hop records was pretty much the same time most people heard it. Was Sugar Hill Gang with Rapper's Delight. You know, of course, everything that kind of came around with that, Curtis Blow, with Christmas rapping and stuff like that. So that's my first time hearing it.
Right.
And my father was a record collector, so he would buy stuff. So after a while, once he kind of started seeing some of the stuff the younger guys were into, he would pick up stuff and give it to me. So I got to hear, you know, some stuff that may not have been as popular in DC, like Super Rapping by Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five.
Wow.
So I heard those records too, but yeah, pretty much the same stuff that most people got hip to when they first heard a rap song.
That's
What era inspired me?
Mm-hmm.
The era that inspired me was the Fresh Fest era, the Rush era, the Fresh Fest era. So you're looking at like, you know, Run DMC, Fat Boys, Houdini, those guys. As far as like me really wanting to try it, you know what I mean? Because before that, I didn't see it. I heard it, but I didn't see it. So I didn't hear. I heard what scratching was like, but I didn't see it. So when I saw it, like Run DMC had Jam Master Jay in the video. I saw it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So then I understood it. And once again, you know, I give a lot of credit to my pops, and I give a lot of credit to, I got a cousin. I always talk about my cousin because my cousin got me into hip hop heavy. You know, my cousin's like 2.5 years older than me. And you know how it is when you're younger. You know, I didn't have an older brother, so I looked up to my older cousin. And my older cousin always knew what was popping. So whatever he was around, I was around, and I picked up on a lot of stuff. You know, that's my cousin Alex. And I got another cousin named Parrish. He wasn't so much into hip hop, but he was heavily into Prince and the time and all that kind of stuff. So I give those two guys credit as far as guys as being closer to my age. And then, you know, like my pops was like a big record collector, like ridiculous. I'm like legendary record collector. You know what I mean? So being able to know how to play records, like him teaching me how to clean records and put the records on the turntable and all that kind of stuff and play them, and then seeing somebody actually rubbing the record, you know what I'm saying? Like scratching and stuff. Like, oh, I can do that. I got some records, you know. So that era, that Fresh Fest era, really inspired me. And then I thought I could do it. My favorite era that made me feel like I could really do it was that what we would consider the golden era. I'm not talking about 90s golden era. I'm talking about like 87, 88, 89, you know, when I was a young teenager. You know, when Public Enemy and Rakim and KRS and Ultramagnetic and Jungle Brothers and, you know, Stetson Sonic and Audio 2, MC Light and Latifah, Mark 45 King, Marley Marl, you know, like NWA, Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince, Cash Money and Marvelous, like all those artists. I mean, I can keep going, man. You know, Ice-T, it was, you know, LL, you know.
Nah, you're right.
You know what I'm saying? So
that particular era was just nonstop.
Yeah.
And you could tell that, like, you know, the differences as well. There was like, you know, you had your Kid and Play, Salt and Pepper, Kwame.
Yeah, you can keep
with
going.
The dancing, partying, and stuff like that.
Yeah,
you got your Public Enemy with your, you know, your political, and then you have NWA with your gangster.
Right.
So it's all different types of moods.
And you had like the Jungle Brothers who were very everyman. You know, you had De La Soul who were pretty much nerdy jerks. You know what I mean? Right. Ultramagnetic who were like just bugged out. You know, space. You know what I mean?
Right.
EPMD. You know what I mean?
EPMD.
Like, you know, that time it was so stimulating.
Oh my gosh, yeah. That you're right.
Heavy
that
D.
is the golden era because everyone just like seems to forget that, like they say like the 90s is the golden era, but that era, like, you know, of like the end of the 80s almost, like, you know what I'm saying? They need to consider that because, you know,
when you think about it, let's think about how many. I always look. I justify my saying that, right? I may even, if I use like a short window, I'll say 87, 89. If I'm giving it a little bit more room, I say 86 to 91. But in any case, almost every branch that we knew in the 90s grew out of that time frame. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know, so if you love Tribe, you know, Tribe came from that jungle. De La, you know, Queen Latifah, you know, you love 45 King, Queen Latifah, you got Naughty by Nature and all those guys. And, you know, even now, everybody loves DNice. DNice BDP. You know what I'm saying? You know, Heavy D and Marley Marl birthed Pete Rock and CL Smooth. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know, like it's so many things that branched out from that. You know, Wu-Tang being so influenced by Ultramag and Slick Rick and Rakim, and you know what I mean? It's I didn't even say Big Daddy Kane. You know what I mean? Big Daddy Kane. You know,
then you got Boogie Down Productions. You know, like
so
that
many.
whole
You can
DNice, it's
forget some of
just
the greats just by
amazing.
trying to rattle that off.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like, looking at the videos back in the day and listening, like, yeah, the other day I was listening to actually Call Me DNice, and I was
Hmm.
just like, this dude.
Yeah. It's funny, right?
This dude, and I was like, wow.
You know, I DJ'd a gig with DNice. Arnell was there. I see Arnell in the comments. Arnell and my man DJ New, they came up there with me, and it was a caper, man. It was some stuff that was going on with the technology that really threw me a curveball, but I worked it out. But I opened
Right.
up for DNice over at the Kennedy Center like a month before COVID came in. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Yeah. So it's like it was this. I had an opportunity to talk to the touchable DNice, the communicatable DNice, the
Yes,
human
yes.
DNice. You know, because like a month or some change later, he was out of here. You know what I mean? It was DNice is now like DJ DNice. Everybody, you know.
Right. Yeah, nah, it's the same with me and Seed. When we did our Rule 4080 joints,
Uh-huh.
we used to go to his parties. He would, like, DJ in New York, like, at a couple of small spots, and he was a very friendly dude. Still
He was
is.
very
Like,
friendly.
he shouts out Seed on, like, on his IG and stuff, but it's like, it's really dope, like, talking about that era and just seeing how people are now. It's just like,
Yeah.
it's just crazy, and and I'm glad, I'm happy for his success.
Oh yeah,
I'm
for
happy
sure.
for his
I tell you
success,
this much
and
though. I'm gonna tell you what's real funny about that though. So we were at the gig and yo man, we were all breaking bread like yo man, take my number man. You know what I mean? We DJs man, we gotta stick together man. You know what I mean? Love to connect with you. Da 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 da. Yo. So
well,
yeah, I tried to call him.
well,
I tried to call him to link him up with Fox 5 because Fox 5 was trying to do a story on him.
okay.
Don't know what happened to that. He ain't call me back though. Look, DNice didn't call me. I tried to call him DNice, but he didn't call me back. It's cool, man.
I'm sure he'll call you on a later time.
It's all good. It's all good. I just think it's funny.
I don't know. When did you start collecting vinyl? I know you said that so your dad inspired you
Yeah.
to collect vinyl, so he gave you some vinyl, but like, when did you start going out on your own saying, all right, I'm going to go in the record store and start, building?
86, 87.
Okay.
And once again, I get credit to my cousin. Like my father made it easy for me to get certain stuff. And then my mother bought me Michael Jackson's Thriller. She bought me that. And she bought me Purple Rain by Prince, not knowing what she was buying me, right? As a child, But and she also bought me the Fat Boys' first album. Okay. My father got me everything else if I didn't pay for it myself. But yeah, 86, 87, I took my allowance money, and I think the first one I bought with my own cash was the Pee Wee Herman by Josie Love.
Wow.
Yeah, same day that my cousin bought Eric Man Rakim's Eric B. is President.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he bought that the same day. He either bought Eric B. is President or Eric B. for President, because there's a difference depending on what label it was printed on. But he bought one of them. He bought the one that just came out, it just hit. We were in Connecticut at the time. So when I say I move around, I was moving around a lot when I was younger, and with Connecticut being right adjacent to New York, anything that filtered from the streets of New York or from the radio, they got it at the same time. So, we were all on the same page when it came to that music.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Like, so did your father or brother tell you where to go? Like, what record stores to go to? Or
it was pretty easy to, to figure out, because I was catching the bus to and from school around that time. So every once in a while, when you got to transfer, sometimes you're just kind of waiting around and you're looking at what's around the area where your transfer spots were. So one of the spots I was at very often, especially I want to say like when I entered junior high school, was the Wiz. I stayed at the Wiz. The Wiz, It was a block downtown in DC. Because like when my cousin, we went to this store called Crazy Eddie's up in Connecticut. That's like a tri-state New York thing.
Okay.
But, so we went there to get those records. But on my own. I went to F Street, downtown F Street. I think it was between 11th and 12th Street near Metro Center. And they had a Nobody Beats the Wiz on the northern side of that block. And towards the middle and the bottom of the block was like a music shop that sold equipment. So it was like you see all the turntables, the drum machines, the whatever little samplers, Gemini samplers and all that kind of stuff. And the Flash Former mixer and all that stuff was in there.
Mm-hmm.
So I would go down there a lot just to get stuff. You know, I ran into a lot of people down there too, like by accident. You know, I ran into DJ Cool. DJ Cool in there. You know, it was the craziest thing. Because me and one of my homeboys, I was actually dissing Cool at the time because I didn't appreciate him. I didn't appreciate Cool. It was probably like 1990. I didn't really appreciate Cool the way I would later. It's actually after I heard the album, I liked it, but I thought Cool. I didn't know really what Cool was bringing to the table at that time, and I was just dissing DJ Cool. I was like, my man said, man, I don't know how we got to talking about DJ Cool, but I thought I was looking at his CD. His CD was sitting on a rack, right? Mm-hmm. And I was looking at the CD, and my man said something about DJ Cool, so I thought he was talking about the CD, and he was like, nah, they were cool right there. You know what I'm saying? And I looked up, and Cool was over there picking our records, so we went to go speak to him, and he was cool, you know what I mean? He was cool, man. And my boy actually bought the CD, and we listened to it, and then I had to change of heart, you know what I mean?
And you had to change.
It was like a two-pronged change of heart because he was very cool, man. DJ Cool was cool.
Yeah,
the album was a good album. I was like, wow. And he had one of my favorite cuts. It was like a poet, almost like a poetry rap thing, where he rapped though. He was kind of kicking it over. It's a group called Red Hot Unlimited. I'm trying to see if you guys would know the music. There's a song that Jermaine Dupri did called "Welcome to Atlanta," and it has this like piano loop on it. Cool used that back in 1990, like a year after KRS and them used it. But he used a song called "I'm Pressed Against the Glass," and I love that song. You know what I mean? Yeah, big up DJ Cool, man. You know what I mean?
That's dope. I mean, you know, his name is DJ Cool. You know, he got to be cool. If he wasn't cool, then
that was that block.
Have a different story.
Right, no doubt. That F Street story, though, man. That F Street story, that whole thing. That's pretty much like was the strip, yo. Because I mean, all your dreams are being formed in your head because you're looking at that equipment. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yo, man. One day I'm gonna get some of that. One day I'm gonna get some turntables. One day I'm gonna get a mixer, and maybe I'll get some production equipment. You know what I mean? So that was like, yeah, that area was where I was picking up a lot of my stuff. And any Nobody Beats the Wiz, any Kent Mill records, and eventually picking up off of my father's habits, going to any thrift store, you know what I mean? Any flea market, you know, I would just eventually start canvassing the whole area looking for stuff, especially when I started getting serious about making music and being a DJ and a producer and all that. Right.
I think back in the day, record stores were more accessible because you had a lot of record stores out there. You had of course you had Tower Records as well, you know what I mean? And you had Sam Goody, I guess.
Yeah, I did. I hit all of them. I hit all of them. I stayed Tower Records. You know, Tower Records down in DC was over by GW. George Washington University. Stayed over there. Stayed in Tower Records.
Yeah, Tower is amazing. Actually, I missed that shot. The Tower in New York was amazing because it was two buildings, like, you know.
Yo, quick story about that. So I'm in New York hanging out. Yo, it's funny, man. Like, that's why I know there's a guy because he's funny. He's funny. So I'm hanging out in New York. This is like the mid 90s. I graduated from high school and I'm at Tower Records, Midtown Manhattan, and the big Tower Records. And I'm talking to somebody about a classmate of mine. And I run into the dude. From Duke Ellington. You know, I run into him. It's a brother by the name of Kobe Kennedy. Goes by Demon 202. Wow. You know what I mean? World famous graphic artist.
Yeah. He actually made this logo.
There you go.
Yep.
Yeah. Ran into that dude just randomly in New York, but I spoke him up. It was just so crazy to me. You know what I mean? So Tower Records is special. That Tower Records in New York is magic. It's magic.
Yeah, you see a lot of people there. Like we
Hmm.
saw Common there one time, OC. It's just like random people just like go there. You know what I'm saying? To
Yeah,
just shop
yeah,
like crazy. But yeah, that's crazy. You seeing Kobe, but I wouldn't be surprised. He's everywhere.
yeah, man. We wound up hanging out that whole night, man.
That's dope. That is
Yeah,
dope. Kobe. Peace out to Kobe.
yeah.
He's still in New York. He has a he has a show. He has a show actually up here.
Okay.
But yeah, man. So let's get back to it. What high school did you attend?
Well, I mentioned it a second ago, man. World
Yeah.
famous Duke Ellington School for the Arts. You know what I mean?
Right. And who are some of the people you went to school with?
All right. My first year, I got real cool with some guys like a brother by the name of Lamont Jackson. Me and him used to talk hip hop a lot. I later found out that he plagiarized Grandmaster Caz's record on his demo, passed it off as one of his songs. That's my boy though. But I was listening to that song he made on the demo. I was like, man, these lyrics sound so familiar. I just thought maybe he's just that good of a rapper. You know what I mean? Then maybe about 2 years later, I'm watching Wild Style. I'm like, okay. Yeah. A guy named Lakim, a guy named Ray Habner. Yeah, man. Those are the hip hop homies when I first got up in there.
Okay.
Ironically, I took half a semester of math with Dave Chappelle when he was on his way out. I was the youngest guy in the class. My principal considered me a prodigy because I was so young up in there taking pre-calculus.
Right.
But yeah. Who else was there? Well, eventually, my man Zach. Zach came up in there. So my man Slim Cat came up in there. That's my as rest in peace DMX, my dog for life. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So Zach was there. Man, a lot of people kind of floated through there, man. But that was like, part of my clique, me and my hip hop art guys, you know what I mean? And eventually, a lot of you guys, basically the Amphbns crew was like,
was deep in there.
yeah, y'all were like my little homies, you know what I mean? Like Zach was my man, and then Zach linked me with everybody else who was kind of coming in after him, you know what I mean? So that, Duke Ellington is interesting like that though, because a lot of us, we would leave and come back. Dave Chappelle should do it the same. He used to leave. Of course, he'd leave DC, go to the college and everything, but he always came back every Thanksgiving. He would come back to the school and hang out. And one time I came up, I didn't come to see him, of course, but I came up to hang with Zach, saw Dave, talked to him a little bit, and then Zach actually introduced me to Khalil, Philly, and some of the other guys who wound up making up the core of the Amphbns coming from Duke Ellington. So, man, Duke Ellington is the greatest, yo.
Yeah.
Greatest.
Nah, it was really dope. It was I remember my brother was just like, yo, you gotta meet these cats here. Like he would bring tapes that that Zach lends him. His beat tapes. And then he was like, oh, there's HL rapping on there. Like, who's that? Like,
right.
So like, yeah, there was a lot of talent in Duke Ellington, I must admit. John Moon.
Yeah, him too. Yep.
Claude. You know what I'm saying?
I knew John since I was in elementary school, man.
Like Raynell was there, Bacon Soda was there.
Yes,
like, everybody was there. So like, yeah, so it was like, when that era when Freestyle Union was going on and people were going to Duke, we were always hanging out. So that's sort of the development of of the Amphbns crew is just like, just hanging out all the time. And then when we found out we did music, it's just like, okay, let's start doing music together.
Right. The other thing about it though, man, being at Duke Ellington, like, okay, what a lot of people didn't realize is when it came to like the hip hop stuff, you would think that all the hip hop guys would come from the music department, but they didn't. As a matter of fact, I think all the music department, at least when I was there, excuse me, the hip hop guys from the music department were whack. You know what I'm saying? You know, you know, and most of us were all in the visual arts department. You know,
Right,
I don't
right.
know how. Maybe I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because we see things differently, or it's a different mode of creativity. And I also think because hip hop wasn't so traditional of a music art form where it's dependent upon having to know music theory and stuff like that. You know, a lot of what we did was based on how we heard. And I know Slim Cap can probably back me up on this. I'm pretty sure he sees music as patterns and colors when he's kind of putting stuff together. And I do the same. You know, a lot of how I conceive it and perceive it in my mind is it's a visual audio representation in my head. You know what I mean? So I think that may inform how we all were able to do hip hop and actually make it sound good. You know what I mean?
Right.
I think we had a certain pedigree with it. We were serious about it. Other guys, the guys from the other departments, they couldn't hang. They couldn't do it.
You heard it here first. No, that's true, because I mean, you know, seeing it in a different aspect and then learning it, just like, it's two different things. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, like, I don't want to say this, but like, I'm gonna say it anyway. If you're taught hip hop, you know, there's a certain way then like, you know what I'm saying, like, getting into your, like, yourself, like, you learn yourself, like, you know, you heard these records, like, you know, you got into the culture versus someone actually teaching you. Yeah, so it's a different perspective. Of course, you and Zach have a different perspective from someone that was taught. You know what I mean?
Right, definitely.
Yeah,
I mean, and keep in mind, like I hate to sound like these guys, man. I kind of feel like every successive micro era has its standards, and it also has its man, the word is escaping me, but whatever standard that is, however it makes it representative of its time, you know, I think every micro era has it. But I'm saying this because when we start talking back in the day, you know, that you can kind of veer into the my era is better than your era type of thing. But I say this much, man. During that particular time, there was a lot of nascent, a lot of potential, a lot of nascent geniuses, a lot of things that were coming because it was so young. Hip hop itself as a practice, as a culture, was so young. It was still in an evolutionary stage. So there was so much excitement and so much ground being broken, and we were attracted to that and influenced by that, and then we wanted to put our mark on it. So we started to try to figure out how to learn how they were doing it, and how can we flip it a little bit to make it our own. You know what I mean? And it was more of a competitive thing where the break beats, the sampling, the business minds. Just think about the early 90s and think about how many groundbreaking things were happening as far as expression, as far as self-affirmation, just evolving of the culture, the ideas, the equipment, the technology, the competitive nature of knowing that you had that. Let's look at producers, right? Or let's look at producers, and I'm not even gonna talk about DJs and MCs. Let's just look at producers.
Okay.
You're looking at Dr. Dre, Large Professor, Set G, Diamond D, and Pete Rock, all kind of being in the same realm. You know, DJ Premier, Eric Sermon, Paris Smith, Beto and them in Houston. You know, all they're competing. They share certain similarities, but they have much different outcomes. You know, Bomb Squad. You know, all these different things happening around the same time, and you built an entire tree off of these things. You know, that has to be inspiring. It has to be, you know.
Yeah.
And there's a learning curve because the competition was so it was so fierce that if you weren't really on point, you were going to be lost to your efforts. You know, it's futile. If you're not on point, it's going to be pretty obvious after a while that you're just for the moment and nobody's going to care about you tomorrow. You know, so I think that was a thing, man. I really think that was a thing when it comes to that. You know, when we're talking about what makes those times and how that informs this thing up here.
Yeah, yeah. No, you're totally right. Thinking about those producers that you mentioned and that time they were creating and putting stuff out, they weren't bigging each other up. They were just kept on, like, you know, putting it out. So, like, you know.
Well, I think it was friendly competition. I think they were
No, it was friendly competition, but it was just like, but you're right. There was that competition that it had to be better. Like, you know, oh, this Pete Rock CL Smooth album came out. Okay. It's Gangstar.
Right.
Gangstar's gonna come out
Right.
next. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And after that, like something else. It's just like, you know, it just kept on going, and it got people to go to record stores and actually buy records, look at the credits,
want to see what the credits like are,
that,
right?
And just, like, you know, follow everything. Oh, he's part of this crew,
right.
Like Heavy D got Don't Curse. Look how many people are out on that joint, you know? Right,
exactly. And
so
I mentioned all that because I'm backing up what you were saying about you couldn't have been taught it back then.
Right,
you had to be so obsessed with it. You had to be so interested in it, so invested in it, that you would teach yourself, and you and your peers would teach each other based on what you know and what you observe. And, you know, you kind of weigh how good or bad your outcomes are, just, you know, amongst your own ear and your group, you know?
Almost deaf, man. Nah, that's true. So, I mean, it's a different, like you said, like, you know, people that were taught in music class, they were taught. They weren't inspired, you know what I'm saying? So they're just like...
You know what I also say, though? I don't think they knew how to listen to it the right way either.
Right.
And I'm going to give you an example. And I keep sticking on the producers a little bit because ultimately how we hear the music is a end result of the producer's vision for the songs that we know, right? So I was talking to somebody recently, and I wasn't mad at him for not knowing where I was coming from initially, but I had to keep driving it into his head, like, there's a way that you listen. Like, I can hear stuff in hip-hop music. Like, if somebody's like, yo, some so-and-so use that beat for whatever. And I'm like, what beat you talking about? When we talking about beats, we talking about drums and stuff like that, right? So I'm listening to it, and I'm like, nah, that's not that. And the guy's like, nah, it really is this. And I'm listening to the pattern, and I'm like, I understand what pattern you're talking about, but I'm actually talking about the drums. When you say the beat, I'm talking about the beat, the drums, the actual sonic components that made that record up. And what I mean by that is, like, there's a certain quality. When Marley Marl really got big, one of the reasons why people love Marley's work was because they were like, yo, how did he get it to sound like that? You know what I mean? Everybody else they can make the same pattern, but the drums don't sound like Marley's drums. You know what I mean? So a lot of the guys, I feel like in the other departments, you know, as far as being taught music, they were being taught music. They weren't being taught how to hear hip hop. You know what I mean? So I know, like, oh, that's an Impeach the President snare. Or that's the snare from the Power of Zeus. Or that's the hi-hats from the OJs. Get the people what they want. Only a few people know what that means. You know, you got to kind of really be in the loop to know that kind of stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, whereas anybody else, they may just be like, yo, I got the drum machine. I'm going to tune these drums and da-da-da-da-da. And they can tap out a beat, and the beat can sound fine. But let me get my joint. Let me sample my joints. Let me put mine together, and mine's going to slap harder. You know what I mean? Because I'm making a hip hop thing. I'm not just making music. You know what I mean? So
yeah, man. That's really dope from a producer's perspective. Definitely, they definitely need to know their records.
Yeah, DJs too.
You definitely need to. That's how. If you don't know your records, then I mean, it's gonna sound different.
Yeah, yeah, and that's a hip hop thing, man. I mean, to me, honestly, I mean, there's a lot of people who call themselves hip hop. I'm not trying to be elitist, anything like that. I mean, you
Right.
take it for how you want to take it. I mean, because I mean, there's value in a lot of what people do, and I can't define how they got their hip hop experience, but there's a certain depth to this thing that hey, once I reach a limit with you, I know I'm at a limit with you. You know what I mean?
Right.
And this is because I really do this. I do this.
Right.
And there's levels to it. That's what people say.
Yeah, definitely, and you can hear it. You can hear it.
Mm-hmm.
Every word that you said so far. You can hear that. You know what I mean?
For sure.
Like, definitely, man. All right. So, give us the origin of your name.
Oh man, really simple. I had a homeboy named Jordan Meadows. We took we were tight. We were both in the visual arts department.
Mm-hmm.
He was a year ahead of me. He was one of the guys that kind of had a similar experience with me as far as going to New York. But I went to Connecticut more often than I went to New York.
Okay.
But he went to New York very often because he had family in New York. So he and I shared, that Red Alert, Molly Mall, Awesome 2, Underground mix show taping experience, So he and I were both early on Main Source, very early on Main Source.
Okay.
So when Breaking Atoms came out, there was a song on the album, called Just a Friendly Game of Baseball. And Large Professor's the MC on that song. And he made that record like a metaphor for or allegory to illustrate police brutality
Right.
through baseball metaphors. So the very first phrase he says on the second verse of the song is RBI, real bad injury. And every day, because my name's Ron Brown in real life.
Right.
So every day he would come to class and sit down at the table. Before he sat in his seat, he would point to me and go, RBI, every day. Every day. And I tried to come up with names, for myself. At the time I was into hip hop as a DJ, a nascent DJ, a nascent producer, and actually wrote lyrics. I didn't develop my rap voice yet, but I had aspirations to rhyme a little bit too. But I couldn't come up with a name, so he just called me that so much, I just took it. I said, I can't think of nothing better,
So it just got into your head, and you're like, okay.
Yeah.
So did you have any names before that, or you didn't think of any names before that?
All of them were either very boring or whack. You know what I mean?
Would you like to give an example?
Well, one point on some MC stuff, I called myself Genocide, like cyanide, but I used the CY instead of CIDE. And I kind of thought that was a little too dark. You know what I mean? But at the time you think about killing MCs, I'm killing all the MCs, So it was Genocide. And then I also had DJ R like a few years before that. And that was almost like a homage to DJ Red Alert. So I just took the R because my name's R. I even called Red Alert. I don't know if you guys remember a brother by the name of Conan. Conan's a legendary, that word legendary, man. But yeah, Conan is really legendary. He's a legendary radio personality. He's still in the area. He's in Baltimore now. He does 92Q. Okay. But at the time he was doing underground radio on WOL. And WOL was one of the only stations in the country that played rap music, I think six days a week. So I think from Monday to Saturday, they play hip hop and go-go from like 6 to midnight. I believe so. I could be wrong, but I think that's what they did. But one time Red Alert came to DC, and once again, I was already a big fan of Red Alert from me going to Connecticut. So I was like, wow, Red Alert's in DC. So I called WOL, and I talked to Red Alert. Conan let me talk to Red Alert. And I told him, I said, man, you're my idol, man. I even called myself DJ R, you know what I mean? So that was cool, man. That was real cool.
That's dope. He's a cool dude, Red Alert.
Definitely,
That's
crazy,
man. Let's talk about some of your artwork.
Okay.
That you've
Coming
done.
from
You've
Duke
done
Ellington, right?
album covers. You
Uh-huh.
know, you're
Hmm.
talking about the album covers and the animated commercial you did.
Okay. So, man, going to Duke Ellington, man. I want to shout out. There's a brother that goes by AOP Comics on Instagram. AOP Comics. Was one of my best friends from high school. He wasn't a practicing hip hopper, but he was a guy who was into hip hop, and he was a part of. I had like 2 crews at Duke Ellington. I actually had 3, but the third crew was less involved with the arts and more, some nascent thug ish. You know what I'm saying? But I had my hip hop crew and I had my arts crew, and a lot of my arts crew we were into comics, we were into animation, things like that. So AOP Comics is my brother Jason Gwynn, and AOP stands for Action on Paper. So that's something if you want to support, independent creator, go see what that brother's doing. And I'm giving him credit because he's one of the guys who gave me inspiration to like my work,
Right.
So I kept drawing and I wound up at Howard University, and I wound up with another clique over there. A lot of guys who were into comics and stuff like that. And so we kept doing our thing and wound my way into the Zulu Nation. So being in Zulu Nation over there at Howard, I met a whole bunch of people that I didn't already know. A lot of those guys wound up being Freestyle Union people. A lot of those guys wound up being Infinite Loop members. A lot of those guys wound up being people like Young Guru, who most people know for working with Jay-Z. But
Right.
he was there. We used to talk all the time. And this guy named Demola, I forgot his last name, but he went by Da Smooth at the time, Da Smooth. And he and I got real cool. Because he was in the comics and stuff too. And he saw what I was doing, and he asked me to do some work. He's like, I want you to work with me. I'm gonna come up with this concept, and I want you to illustrate the concept. So I wound up illustrating the concept and building it out. And then from there, I drew the stuff up, and I actually came up with a backstory for the character. So if you look at anything, because Demola wound up changing his name from Da Smooth to the Great Deity Da. That's some hip hop 90s shit. You know what I'm saying? I think he was trying to outdo, because I think Rakim was the God MC, and Nas is the next coming to Rakim and everything. So he wanted to be higher than them. So he called himself the Deity. You know what I mean? So I drew the character. I did all the early artwork for it. It's pretty. I think it's pretty good, man. I think it holds up to this day. If I was thinking, I'd have pulled a copy off the wall, but y'all can look that up. The first one I did was called Life or Death. It's a Life or Death EP, and I did the artwork for that. I did artwork for a few more of his joints up until about '97, and so that was like actually my first internationally recognized published work.
Oh,
my
that's
name
dope.
is on it. If you look on it, you see my name on it.
Right.
Yeah.
And I know he made an action figure and all that stuff, but
Yeah, we got some stuff to talk about. He and I, we got some things to discuss. But yeah, man, I was blessed to get some other projects, done through because of stuff like that. And I did a few logos for a few different companies. Periscope Entertainment was one that was out of this area. I did a few websites worth of artwork and stuff like that.
Right.
Later on, I went and did some work. I did some work for Words, Beats, and Life, and what's that? Eventually, yeah. So you're talking about the commercial. You asked me about the commercial.
Yeah. So the animated commercial, I think you did for IQ.
Yeah. So there's a company called IQ Solutions, and I want to shout out my man Don Gooseby. I met Don at a party. A woman I used to date named Cree. She invited me to this party that I think was some stuff that her friends did regularly. So I showed up one day, and Don and I got to talking. And I didn't finish Howard, so I stayed doing my work, but I didn't finish college. So I was looking to try to get back into some type of professional work. So Don offered me an internship over. Well, he didn't offer me an internship. He offered me to come in and show my portfolio.
Right.
So I went up to the company IQ Solutions, and they liked my work. So they offered me an internship, and I went to work there. And I was doing storyboards. I was doing all kinds of illustrations and things like that over there. I got an opportunity to try to fine tune a little bit of my logo work. You know, that's one of my weaknesses. I'm far better at illustration than I am at logo work, but I can do logo work, you know.
Right.
But while I was there, one of my storyboards that I'd done for the company, they decided that they liked the artwork that I did for the storyboard so much. They was like, hey, we want you to stylize it a little bit more, and we're going to animate it. We're going to make this a commercial. So I went and did extra work on it, and probably about a few weeks later, it debuted. It was NIDA was the company, the National Institute on Drug Abuse. They put the commercial out, and it was basically an not Molly. What was Molly's precursor? Ecstasy.
Yeah.
Anti-ecstasy commercial. So if you go on YouTube, you may be able to find it. It's called Jack and Jill Drug Abuse NIDA. It's the name of the company. So if you look that up, you should be able to find it.
Okay. No.
Yeah.
People look out for that.
Yeah.
You know, definitely not. That's dope that you got to do that. Like, you know, that's part of you, your art. You know what I'm saying? And DJing. Can you tell the people how long you've been DJing for?
Okay. 3 answers to that one. DJing as a person who knows how to pull a set together, or like picking records to play.
Okay.
I was really young doing that because my father told me he showed me how to do it.
Right.
Just to get records and know how to put them on and take them off. So I was probably like 4. You know what I'm saying? Then making my own mixtapes and stuff without turntables, like without professional turntables. I fashioned myself as a DJ because people used to get me to make tapes for them. This is probably like junior high school. So that's probably like 88, you know.
Mixtapes, wow.
Yeah. But like being able to really get equipment and like learn how to cut and stuff like that. I started learning how to cut on a realistic turntable that my father had. Didn't have no mixer or nothing like that, so I had to use the volume switch to turn the volume up and down. But as long as I can get that joint to go chicka chicka chicka, and it sounded like what I heard on the Steady B record, I was good to go.
Yeah.
If I could do what Red Alert did with the chicka chicka, I was good to go. So that's like 88, 89, learning how to rub the record and release it on time. But around like 94, 95, 96, I started piecing together an actual set of turntables. You know, I had a turntable. My boy George gave me a mixer. Timex traded me. Rest in peace to Timex. A brother by the name of Timex.
Yeah.
Timex traded me a Technics 1500 for a copy of this record by Roy Ayers Music Production. Had a record called Ramp Coming to the Light, and it had the sample for Tribe Called Quest. Bonita Amphbns was on there.
Okay.
But he wanted that record so bad, he wanted to sample it. So I was like, he's like, yo, I'll let you use my turntable to hold that record. So he gave me his 1500, and that had a better torque on it. So from there, I wound up buying the 1200, working my night job, working my day. I had a day and a night job. So I worked a security job at night, and I worked at an outdoor store in the daytime, and I worked at RFK Stadium making pizzas on the weekends. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, you got to get that hustle on, yo.
Yeah. So yeah, I just bought the stuff, man. I bought a 1200. So I had a 1500 and 1200, and I had that big Gemini mixer my boy George gave me, and that was like 95, 96, and that's when it got real for me. Before that, I want to give props to my man DJ Think, who let me come practice in his room at Howard. He kind of like made me know. He didn't say it, but I knew I was whack. As far as learning how to blend, man, because yo, you gotta realize in that dorm room, DJ Analyze was around there. DJ Supreme was floating around Howard's campus. And Renee was pretty dope too. Renee DJ Think, he was pretty dope too. And my boy Omar, who was like, you know, they call me the hands of God. I'm gonna call him the hands of God. You know what I mean? Omar would come in there.
You mean Dirty Ice?
Yeah, yeah.
Woo.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
I had to get nice, man. I had to go get nice. You know.
Nah, that's dope that you're around these DJs. You know what I'm saying? That made you, that were really honest, because not a lot of people are honest. They'll probably like, yo, that's very good. And you know that shit is whack. It's just like, okay.
Yeah, well, see, I'm being a little more harsh on myself. I wasn't necessarily whack,
right?
But I wasn't where I wanted to play in front of nobody. You know what I mean?
Right. No, everybody has a beginning.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Just like everyone, you can't start out and be like extra nice. You know what I'm saying? Right. There was like this first time that you're like on there and you're just like, okay, well, it's all like, you know, it's not blending well, or I don't know, the scratch is off or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Everyone goes through that. Right.
And I'm gonna give props to because the guys I'm mentioning are people who they let me come around them and use their stuff. You know what I mean? Before I really got my own. So my man Decompose, he goes by Black Ink now.
Right.
But he had a setup in his mom's basement. He had actual like a real production setup in his mom's basement, and it was different from what me and Slim Cat was working with. You know what I'm saying? So I saw him scratch. I saw him do a pattern, and I was like, wow, like okay, I'm gonna remember that. And my man Phil, he goes by the name of Phaser. And I think he's like Phil Adams is an artist or something like that on Instagram. But he had turntables in his house, and so I used to practice at his house. He used to let me play his records. Like he had more new stuff. He had more new records than me, so he used to let me play his records. He used to let me blend. You know, him and this dude named Malik. He went by Dove at the time. They had a crew called EBO.
Yeah. EBO and Earthbound.
Yeah, and they had a room. They had the Marvin Gaye room at the Ibex in Northwest, and they would let me come on and play, man. So I gotta get them props, you know, because
that's dope. Yeah, you need energy like that to, like, you know, build somewhat of your foundation of, like, you know, DJs that'll put you on. And yeah, same with the Amphbns as well. It's just like, you know, as MCs in Freestyle Union, they were like, you know, they were welcoming for other MCs to go on and freestyle, and, you know, they'll tell you if you were whack.
Right. Definitely,
which was good.
Especially when you got the monsters up in there,
people
man.
Just needs to be like, you know, take criticism. You can't take criticism, then you know, it's not for you. But
it was a lot of monsters up in the Freestyle Union, man.
Oh my gosh.
Z, Kokai, who else, man? Troy used to walk up in that joint. Troy used to come in that joint, man. Who else was there, man? Most of the Infinite Loop was early down with Freestyle Union. Yeah, there was a lot of monsters at Freestyle Union, man. Y'all had a mutiny. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, last week I interviewed Tony Blackman, and we spoke about that. I was like, so you went from like a small little group to getting all these monsters from, like, you know, the DMV area. Like, how did you do that? Like, you know, And she was just explaining, like, you know, it was basically word of mouth. And Sub-Z, she kept giving Sub-Z, like, props for, like, you know, putting the word out there.
Right.
And they made it happen. It's just like, you know, DC, like, I swear, every time I talk about DC, I talk highly of. Just like, don't sleep on DC. We have hip-hop, you know, it's not.
No doubt.
I mean, you know, it's not like what you hear now, like, you know what I'm saying? But it's like, you know, there was that time.
Right.
Yeah. That, like, no one, like, you know, even people from New York who went to the Freestyle Union and experienced it was just like, there's nothing like this. So, you know, we gotta represent, you know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah. Hey, look, you know, it was real funny, man. And I gotta give props to my man Storm and Priest, right?
Yeah.
They told me about a story because speaking of New York, you know, the competitive thing, man. I love New York as much as I love New York. Somewhere around the early to mid '90s, New York had an arrogance that was just so outsized.
God. Yeah.
And it was a station called 88 Hip Hop. It was like an early internet radio station, and they played a lot of hip hop on that station. And they had a battle, a live battle. And I can't remember all the MCs from New York that were there. I do remember this artist named Quest the Mad Lab was there because he was signed to Rick Rubin's American Records, and he was in that cipher representing the New York side. And I believe Priest. Basically, I think what wound up being the Plexus crew. I think those guys went. Sub-Z, Storm, Priest, and Kokai went to represent, and just gave them all new booty holes. You know what I'm saying?
I'm not surprised. So.
You know, and it was a good look for us because, I mean, you know, a lot of the guys, you know, like I remember going to New York a lot in the mid '90s with Diddy Doc, and we would go the different record stores, you know, putting records up in the shops, you know, just like real everyman straight grind, you know, going to all the record stores and meeting the people, and you know, it's like, hey, like look, either we got, you know, 10, 12 copies we want to put on consignment, you know, whatever. And almost every time, you know, the guys saw 202 on the label, they was like, oh, this is some go-go shit. You know what I mean? It's like, nah, man, take a listen to this, man. Take a listen.
Yeah, it was kind of hard. If you didn't have that like New York boom bap, you can't get your records and fat beats. I remember that.
Word.
We tried to get the Amphbns on. They were like,
right. And I wound up seeing your record. I think I wound up seeing your record at Beat Street Records at one point. But Sub-Z is on he's on the check-in. He
said like, okay, Pack FM, all the Breeze Ever Flowing, the whole Stronghold crew was there.
Right. There you go.
Yeah.
Breeze Ever Flowing.
Those are my boys, yo.
Yeah, and they all cool, man. They all cool.
They're all cool. What's crazy about that is that when we went to New York, you know, me and Philly went to New York, and Trevor, we started the Lifeline there. And they gave us nothing but love there. Like, it was weird because, like, okay, these cats are from D.C., but, you know, we were hitting them with, like, the live MS1s.
Right.
and everything, and just freestyling on the spot. And seeing my brother freestyle, you know, it's just crazy to them. So they gave us a lot of love there. Like, you know, I think the only people we battled and we kind of lost because they were more known. New York thing. It was Cannibal Ox.
Oh, yeah.
And every time I see Vortal, he's always telling me, like, you know, he's like, yo, Philly changed my life that day because I was sweating.
That's what's up.
I was like, what? I was like, why couldn't you tell that to the people that were there? You know what I'm saying? Like,
hey, look, man, you know how that goes, man. You get the W first, then you go.
You know, we did not care. We just, like, you know, battling cats, and we got, I mean, you know, and I got love for Vortal and all them cats. Like,
right.
You know what I'm saying? It's just like, wow. Like, you know, because New York, they don't play. It's just like, you know, even with Southern artists that goes up there, they get booed. Kendrick Lamar got booed before. Everyone gets booed. If you open up for Wu-Tang, you're going to get booed. You know what I'm saying? And that's it. Like, so, I mean, you know, I think it's changed now. Well, like, you know, pre-COVID, where everyone's more welcoming now. Okay, like, you know, of course, styles has changed. Like, people are sounding like they're from the South here. And just like, you know, people are confused. But, yeah, I remember that actual time in New York where people like, you know, it was just New York or nothing.
Right.
So. Yeah. But, you know, look at Kendrick Lamar now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and this is no knock. I mean, you know, brothers got a lot of love. I got a lot of love from brothers in New York. But, you know, competition thing, man. Yeah. Especially looking at that, you know, MCs especially, you know, that's a different beast. You know what I mean?
Right. Nah, I mean, you know.
This is Christy said, I remember Miscellaneous Flux opening for Method Man in New York, and folks were like, "What the?"
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
See,
Yo, real quick, I haven't been watching all the folks popping in, but because I've been kind of concentrating on what you're talking about, Joey. But you know, big shouts to everybody who popped up in there. I saw Sub, I saw Ruby. I definitely see Big Jess. I saw Slim Cat. You know, Paul Howard, big up Paul Howard. You know, another
right.
you know heavy influence right there. That's my guy. You know.
That's a dude right there. Word. Big up to everybody that's tuning in right now. We're going on a journey with RBI right now. And it's interesting, like, you know, this whole conversation's interesting. Like, definitely, like, you know, so
Good.
yeah. So what are your thoughts on DC hip hop today?
Man, okay. You know what? Because I was going to say something else, but you used the word hip hop, so I'm gonna stick with that.
Okay.
It's great. It's great. It's great.
It's great.
Great. Yeah, man. Man, some of the most talented guys, yo. You know, on like across the spectrum. You know what I mean? We're looking at DJs. You're looking at the MCs, the producers. Even extending it out to you know folks doing more entrepreneurial things. You know, with promotion and fashion and things like that. And, you know, even like Priest is an engineer, you know what I'm saying? You
Right.
know, um, you know, a lot of incredible work being done, a lot of creative stuff being done, you know. Want to big up my man Renell, you know, Substantial. Like those guys are they're moving the needle of DC hip hop into more avant-garde type of stuff, like doing like anime, comic book related kind of hip hop inspired music, Night Train as well, and stuff like that. And these are more like more present day things, you know. A lot of the OGs are continuing to do a lot of really dope stuff. You know, I know Priest is coming out with something.
Right.
No Head Rock is coming out with something. Slim Cat, you guys. You know, y'all did y'all thing. You know, album was dope.
Thank
Boogeyman
you.
Ghost is in the lab a lot. A lot of the younger guys, you know, I'm gonna big up my man DJ Haylack. You know, he's producing, got some really fire beats. My man DJ Hayes got some really fire beats. Yeah, on the hip hop side, yeah, it's in good hands. Like I say, the OGs are continually refining themselves. Look out for Team Demo, Sub Z, Bad Human Art House,
Mm-hmm.
Do Me Right. Somebody just dropped something. Camber and Sean Bourne, their
Yes.
thing. It's dope. Nathaniel Starr, he's a newer guy though, but big up to him. Drew Dave. I mean, if you get me in this zone, I'm gonna be shouting people out for about an hour. So it's a lot of great.
Nah, it's just like, you know, I'm glad you're mentioning this because you do keep up with the times of music and not one of those, like, you know, like usually people like, nah, the new
Face.
school is just crazy, you know. You know what I'm saying? And they have a different, like, you know, way of thinking. It's just like, you know, but you're a DJ. So you do have to keep up with the times and what's new coming out from the DMV, DC. Like,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? But nah, that's real dope. Can you tell the people what words, beats, and life is?
Man, so here's a funny thing about that. I hate having to explain what words, beats, and life is.
Well,
Only
do it
because
one more time for the people that don't know.
nah, it's only really because real quick too. I want to shout out my boy Ethan. Now Ethan, I'm mentioning Ethan because he's not necessarily hip hop, but he's progressive in his realm, and I gotta give a lot of big ups to him. Sounds of the City, Jay Mills, and everybody that's down with like Jay Mills, like Devin and my man, what's my brother name, man? He keep changing his damn name up, yo. I got to think because he keep changing his name up, man. it's gonna come to me. He keep changing the name. When I remember it, I'm gonna do that. But look out for those artists, cause especially J Mills and Ethan Spalding, cause they're not doing traditional stuff, but they kind of. I work with them. I can't front. I see it firsthand. So I mean, there's a little bias there, but I ain't promoting no trash. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know, and somebody just shouted out. See, look, y'all shouting people out. Kev Brown, Sonny Jim. I could say Damu the Fudge Monk. I mean, it's too many people. So I'm trying to stay out of that. I'm trying to stay out of the shout outs because I'm gonna be on that all day. You know what I mean? Be on
I
that
think
all
you did that on Hidden Gems, but
day. Right. But Words Beats in Life, man. Words Beats in Life. Reason why I get tired of explaining, because my man Mozzie's always changing the language up, like, because he every year, it's been around for a minute now, so he's changing the language every so often how he wants to kind of like make a real succinct slogan for what the organization's about. But basically, it's a true hip hop nonprofit.
okay.
That's pretty much what it is. It's a true hip hop nonprofit, but it's a hip hop nonprofit that is very intent on serving the community. So it's not like it's
Are we talking about New York Mozzie?
I don't know New York Mozzie.
Or what does this Mozzie look like?
This Mozzie is light skinned, half black, half Puerto Rican dude. He kind of looked like I ain't gonna say that.
Joe Pesci? No, I'm just kidding.
No. One of our former students used to say he looked like this dude named U-Rock, DJ U-Rock out here.
U-Rock, yeah, I know U-Rock.
But Mozzie, man, Mozzie's from Largo, I believe.
Okay.
And he went to University of Maryland. He started it over at University of Maryland. That's why I met him. I met him at University of Maryland, and I was a guest. I was a guest instructor for something he was trying to set up. I think I was probably one of his first instructors, if not the first instructor, that taught a hip hop class. And I was there on loan. I was on loan from the Hip Hop Theater Junction, which is now known as High Arts.
Right.
Because we were doing a rhyme deferred back then. And,
yeah, we're gonna get into that.
They loaned me to Mozzie to go teach a class. And I'd already been doing like some classes, like I just saw the other day a sister by the name of DJ Heat. She just bigged me up because I was her mentor when she was trying to get into DJing, and she used to come by the crib and I used to show her stuff, and
right.
kind of got her into everything. So yeah, so I had some experience with it, and I took the experiences I had with DJ Heat over to teach at Words Beats and Life's. They were doing like a conference, a hip hop conference.
Okay.
And from there, Mozzie would get in touch with me every so often, but he was doing a lot of stuff with them, man. He was doing like DJ competitions and poetry readings and stuff like that, So I think a lot of his ideas started to shape themselves during those conferences. Okay. And eventually he formed an organization taking that same spirit. And at first it was just the 4 elements for the most part, along with just like socially conscious build sessions and stuff like that. Like a lot of like they may do like a t-shirt workshop, and right. People come and they have a slogan and they got to do t-shirts. People come and do their artwork and stuff. But he had an intent behind it, and he's mainly dealing with the elements. DJing. I don't even think that was an MC thing at first, but I know he wanted to have that. But it's definitely DJing, production, b-boy. And I think I've recommended some guys to him for that early on. I think my man Russell, I think Russell works for Urban Artistry now, but he was down for a minute. And then who else? DJ, MC, and Graffiti. Yeah, also all the 4 elements of hip hop. And then once it became a more regular thing, because it started to be a weekly thing, right? Where we would set up in certain rec centers, most often over at Benning Park Rec Center, and some classes at like a few different schools, like University of Maryland or Community College of Baltimore County, Essex. We used to do stuff up there. But yeah, he kept at it, man, and he kept me in the loop. He kept tapping me to come do stuff. So I took what I was already doing with DJ Heat and also had worked with Asheru for a little while. Brother Asheru, he was doing something called guerrilla arts. At the time, I think it was called Nomo, I think, but eventually became guerrilla arts. And so I was working with him as well. So some of the stuff I took from those experiences, I took over to Words, Beats, and Life, and you know, introduced the syllabus, and you know, started building that course out. And from that point,
awesome.
Yeah, man, it's a thing. It's a thing.
Right.
Words, Beats, and Life is allowed for a lot of people who wanted the opportunity to get hands-on experience, mentorship, in-field experience, just all kinds of like opportunities related to the discipline, and helping to inspire the artist within, you know, and hopefully the professional within has been a thing. You know, it's is
it still going on?
It's going on right now. It's going on right now. I gotta get a dude. I gotta get a brother a lot of props, man. That dude is tenacious. He's tenacious. Yeah, I got a lot of respect for that dude. You know what I'm saying?
That's great, man.
It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work.
Right.
It's a lot of work. You know what I mean? It's a lot of work, yo. You know, he ain't always necessarily. Some people get on him because, you know, he ain't always, you know, hitting on 100. But I mean, hey man, when you're doing stuff that nobody's done before,
right?
You know, you're gonna take some lumps. You're gonna make some mistakes. You know, but I look at, I see a lot of it. I've seen a lot of it, you know, firsthand. And to do the amount of work with the vision, the expansion, and to a large degree, a lot of the successes, you know, they are successes. A lot of successes have come from what the work that the organization has done. I mean, all the personnel and everybody involved deserve all the love and the props and the credit in the world as well. I mean, you know, he's a leader amongst leaders, you know what I mean? But this is his baby, so that's why I take my hat off to him. But all the people involved too. Like, smartest thing he did is he made sure pretty much everybody who got involved was an A1 talent. You know what I mean? I mean, like, many of the best from this area's music and arts community have floated through there. It's like no scrubs up in that piece. You know what I mean? That was one of the smartest things that dude did. You know?
Nah, that's real dope. That's real dope to hear. Definitely, man. So let's talk about your show on WPFW.
Mm-hmm.
How did you get that show?
Well, here's the irony of it. There's only one show left. There was two shows. There was two shows up until 2 weeks ago. Okay. But I've been on WPFW in 3 incarnations. My first incarnations was intern for X-Man back in the 90s. But he had a show called The Underground Sound. So I used to go help out up there and learned a lot, you know, got to meet a lot of people. One thing I'll say, you know, I've said this in other interviews from time to time. Our hip hop scene, and when I say our hip hop scene, I'm not talking about our rap scene. You know, there's some overlap, you know, but our hip hop scene, you know, people who are students of the craft and not necessarily about just trying to be famous.
Right.
Our hip hop scene was really nurtured, and it kind of coalesced and grew from my opinion, three major initiatives. One, I would say the Universal Zulu Nation over at Howard, our chapter.
Right.
The Freestyle Union, and X-Man's Underground Sound Show at WPFW. Because these are places that most of the guys and gals who were practicing the hip hop arts, whether it be rapping, producing, DJing, even graffiti, dancing, you know, we were all showing up at these places, you know, all showing up at these places. So WPFW had a legacy that really goes unsung. I don't even think they embrace it at the station. I'm one of the only living representations of that at that station.
Right.
I don't think they even embrace it, but their part through stuff like Underground Sound and my man Bobby Hill's B-side show in particular. Now, there's others, but I'm gonna give these guys a lot of credit because they reached out to the community. They had a lot of the artists who were trying to be somebody on their shows, you know.
Right.
So they have that piece, and I picked up my next phase by being a programmer.
Okay.
At PFW. So I started as a programmer in 2005 as a part of a cast. I wasn't a sole programmer. I was actually a part of an ensemble. And once again, it's funny, Mozzie was a part of that ensemble as well.
Okay.
So it's my man DJ True, Noodles, and Mozzie, along with myself, had a show called the Holla Back Show. And so True and I would trade back and forth every other week doing DJ sets on that show. And Mozzie used to try to rope me in to come talk on the air. I wasn't really into that at first, you know. I wasn't really into it. And I really, I think back on it, I really sounded like a fool. You know what I'm saying? I hadn't developed my voice, man. My voice was, I felt like every time I talked in the air, I felt like I was reading something. Straight up. But you know what wound up happening was
crazy, because you got a distinctive voice. You got that.
Yeah, man. Look,
Barry White. No, I'm just kidding.
But look, man, I really got comfortable with it over time, and you know, this is coming from the encouragement, you know, of people that's like, yo, how once I got Ill Street Grooves, which is my second, you know, that's my first opportunity to be the main programmer, along with my man Two Tone. So Two Tone and I, well, we got cool. We met at a cookout. No, not a cookout. Like a going away party for a mutual friend of ours.
Okay.
Like I think like 2002 or something like that. But he and I kept in contact. And when I wound up at PFW, I was on a Wednesday show. He was on a Tuesday show. And we were already cool. And every so often we would do this thing on Mondays called All-Star Mondays. They would take two different shows from the strip. Well, I'm getting a little ahead of myself. Decipher is what started in 2005 at WPFW.
Okay.
Decipher is the original incarnation of programming dedicated to a hip hop audience from a hip hop from the hip hop generation. So Tuesday through Friday, there was original programming from distinctive shows. On Monday, there was a collaborative show because they didn't have a singular show that would play on Monday. So on Monday, you may have guys from the Tuesday and the Friday show, or the Monday and the Tuesday show, or, you know, I'm sorry, the Wednesday and the Tuesday show. So we started saying like, yo, man, there's some things that we want to do that none of these other shows are doing, you know.
Right.
There's artists we want to interview. There's ideas that we have, music, like different music ideas and stuff. So we lobbied to get the Monday slot. And eventually they gave it to us. So we named it Ill Street Grooves. Yeah, so we started Ill Street. Originally it was from 11 to midnight. And then I think it was originally from 10 to 11. Mm-hmm. Then we got from 11 to midnight. And yeah, we was wilding out on that joint, man. You know what I mean? Because the idea I had was basically taking, like, what if you took like Sports Center, Barbershop Talk, and Stretch Armstrong and Bobbito with a little bit of Sway and Tech,
right?
You know, and put it together. You know what I'm saying? So we would try and do like everything that we could think of just to have interesting radio. Sometimes it would be straightforward stuff like, you know, interviewing people or just playing new music, like new stuff that came out, or what people like to do now is like, you know, tribute mixes and stuff like that. We would do tribute mixes. But, you know, we would try to do different stuff too. Like we'd get a band to come up. We had like three instances where we would do like a Motown type review where, you know, you get the same band that's playing for everybody, but the different artists are coming on and doing their songs and stuff. So we would do stuff like invite like maybe 6 to 10 different acts to come up from the area to all come up and rock with the band, which was Asheru's band, the L's, which I think
L's,
Slim
yeah.
Cat, Zoe, Kush, Slim Cat, Dirty Ice, think those are the main guys that made up the L's, and they will come up, and I think Jabari from Human Profits will come on too.
Right.
But yeah, so like we would just invite people up, man, and they will come on, and like if I would like give me a song that you want to perform, and I would send it to the band so they would learn it. So like I think one of the first times we did it, we had like Kev Brown came through. I think my man Lalo came through. Human Profits was there. Cool C Brown, rest in peace, he was there.
Rest in peace, yeah.
Yeah. The Package, which my man Dimes, Grizz and Theory, they were there. And the funniest thing was I invited my man Tabby Bonet to come up. And eventually, like, what happened is he called me, he was like, yo, man, I don't think I can make it. I was like, all right, cool. Well, you know, I appreciate you for hitting me back. Man, we were rocking that night, yo. We were rocking. They were killing it, man. And man, Tabby hit me. He was like, "Yo, man, I'm on my way. I ain't know it was gonna be that dope." You know what I'm saying? so he hit me, man. And he came up. You know what I mean? And he got into the cipher. He rocked. And a lot of people didn't know like Tabby was as ill as he was, like especially off the top of the head. So
yeah.
He came in there and he killed it too. You know, and I thought it was real cool because you know, a lot of people, Tabby had said some things in the press that a lot of people, you know, didn't like, you know, but he made some friends that day, you know, he made some friends that day. So yeah, we had a lot of fun up there, man. So that was the original thing. Eventually they moved the whole Decipher strip to Saturdays because there was some programming upheaval, some nonsense, man. I'm gonna keep it a buck, man. A lot of folks over at PFW, they're older heads. Mm-hmm. And they just don't like hip hop. They don't like what we bring. You know, they think
you got the conservatives we, you know, on
yeah. So a lot of times they would kind of do things to get us up out of there, you know. And eventually, I'll say this much too. I'm gonna put this on the audience. Money talks, you know. Money talks. So a lot of times the audience didn't show out, and I'm gonna say maybe we didn't always push so hard to try to beat people over the head to get those donations when it came to pledge time. I know for me, I tried to make sure I incorporated that into the shows, but if I already had something planned, it would really get in the way. You know what I mean? It would get in the way because sometimes, like, look, I had Master Ace scheduled the interview, and then I found out we went pledge drive. I'm like, yo, I gotta share trying to pitch for pledges, and I got Master Ace on the phone. You know what I mean? Like we've done that. I've had Pharoah Monch on the phone. I've had all these artists that were calling us up, you know, to break bread with us, and it's in pledge drive. So it's hard to want to take 45 minutes to pitch for pledges, and you only got 2 hours of a show.
Yeah.
And you want to talk to the artists, and in my mind, I'm thinking that the audience is going to appreciate being able to hear from these artists, so they'll donate, you know, and prove that what we have to offer is worth being on the air according to whatever they have to offer to help us reach our goals.
Which makes sense.
Yeah, you know, but I just say that to say, you know, the original incarnation of Decipher was moved to the weekends, and I'm pretty sure a large portion of that reason was because, you know, they considered us to be good, but not. We were almost expendable. You know what I mean? We were almost expendable because originally they killed the whole strip. Wow. But so Decipher's still on the weekends. It's every Saturday from 10 to midnight. And what I eventually did, the show that just ended its run, started in 2016. It was called Capital Ill.
Capital Ill, yes.
Yeah, so that was a weekly show. Once again, we just resurrected, you know, just the ideas that we had from Ill Street.
We were on that show, right?
Yeah, you sure were.
On that show, yeah.
And what we did for Capital Ill is we didn't confine it to just hip hop. You know, it's still us, the hip hop guys, and definitely hip hop elements, but we expanded it because I just had a lot of music I wanted to play. Okay. There was a lot of stuff I wanted to do, and there was a lot of new artists that were coming out from all genres. You know, I didn't care what genre it was from. I just thought it was dope, and I wanted people to hear it. So we kind of moved the schedule around on Capital Ill a lot, doing different things. You know, we had we would do like, you know, almost like say if we do New Music Monday, a New Music Monday will have, you know, anybody from, you know, Rock Marciano's new joint to something from Hiatus Coyote. You know what I'm saying? Hiatus Coyote. You know what I mean? So we get different stuff going on with that.
Nah, that's
then
dope.
Then we would do stuff like, you know, we did I think 2 years we did a funk tournament. So for the month of March, it was like March Madness of Funk. So we would pit different iconic funk groups against each other and play some of their funkiest songs back to back. So these are our innovative ideas. Don't be trying to steal. But you know, so like we did the Isley Brothers versus the Ohio Players before Versus did the Isley Brothers versus Earth, Wind and Fire.
Wow.
We did so that for that particular month we did. I'm just giving you an idea what y'all missed. You know,
right.
if you didn't hear it.
Like what?
But yeah, we did.
Gotta tune in. Y'all gotta tune in.
Yeah, man. So yeah, we did Isley Brothers versus Ohio Players. We did Earth, Wind and Fire versus Kool and the Gang. We did Curtis Mayfield versus Sly and the Family Stone.
Okay. And
we did George Clinton and Funkadelic, Parliament Funkadelic versus James Brown in the JBs and everything. You know, that was so fun, man. We did stuff like that all the time. We did another interesting show was we did a show called Straight Jacking, right? So you ever listen to a show? Not a show. You ever listen to a song and you're like, yo, that song sounds so much like this other song. How did they not get sued for that? You know what I mean?
So you played those songs.
Yeah. We did a whole show, man. And the way we set it up was we did the obvious ones where people wound up getting sued eventually. And then we did the ones that like, yo, did you ever really think about how close this song sounds to this one? And you hear it like, yo, that's crazy. I didn't even know. Like at one point I mixed Stevie Wonder's Part-Time Lover with Hall & Oates' Man Eater. And people didn't even know when the song switched.
Oh, wow.
Because that's how close the songs were. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know.
Yeah, you gonna get people in trouble. No, it's kidding.
Yeah, look, it was fun, man. It was educational too, man. It was educational.
That's dope. Because it is educational. It'll teach you how to blame.
Involved with that. Yeah. Yo, Arnell wanted me to shout out the times we did a whole month on Ill Street Grooves. We talked to different people from Hieroglyphics every week.
Oh, that's dope. That's real dope.
Yeah. I think like one week we had Most of Souls of Mischief call in, and another week we did Casual and A+. Only one we didn't get was Dell, but pretty much everybody else called up. You know, we played the Saphir Hyro battle on the air, man. You know what I'm saying? You know?
That's real dope, yo. So yeah, y'all gotta check out the show.
Well, here's the thing.
Plug the radio show.
Well, here's the thing. Right now, so Capital Ill just ended its Monday run.
Okay.
Like almost 3 weeks ago now. So big up my man Two Tone Black Ink. They did our final shows and big up to the whole. You know, I gotta stop saying big up. I gotta get something. Gotta get something.
Yo, you're a DJ, man. You gotta.
But I gotta show. I'm gonna show love to everybody who floated through and contributed to the show. From DJ Intense, you know, she got down with us during Ill Street. My man Arnell. Arnell is almost like a day two. You know what I mean? Arnell's around from, you know, almost from Jump Street. Arnell shouting out all the interviews on it. But Arnell, ADST, my man Dadrian, DJ Iron hung around for a little while. Of course, Black Ink, DJ Two Tone Jones, DJ Haylack, and my man DJ New used to help out from time to time. My man Edgar S. Diaz was helping out from time to time, getting the video, you know, recording and everything. And so yeah, big up to them. And just keep in mind, I put an announcement out that is closed until further notice. You know what I mean? I you know, we've been talking about another time slot. There's also been other radio stations that have hit me up about, you know, trying to do some stuff. So just keep your eyes peeled on that. You know, keep your eyes peeled. The Instagram page is Capital Ill Radio, and it's capital with an O because we're from DC to you know, what the capital is. Big up Sub-Z. They putting the facts in the joint. They got the facts out there.
Yeah.
I was a DJ for Opus on their first European tour back in 1998. Man, we toured Europe. Man, big up to them brothers right there.
How was that? How was that experience, real quick?
It was crazy. It was crazy. It was crazy. It was crazy, man. You see stuff when you see them dudes, when you see Sub-Z, Black Indian, and Kokai just go off, and you develop a musical rapport with them, dog, you have no idea how good that feels. Straight up. Because what it was, man, I was just really starting to prove myself as a DJ.
Okay.
You know? And Black Indian, he told me, like, yeah, I was talking to them. We couldn't get Ace to come. So I told him we need to get you. So I scrambled and got everything I needed, you know, to join that tour. And I appreciate them brothers for inviting me, because it changed my life. You know what I mean? And I look, I already knew these brothers already, but I developed such a stronger relationship with them, and that lasts to this day. You know what I mean?
That's awesome.
Like, you know, we talked on the phone, and you know this already, but you know, I've been blessed to be in a position where I'm probably the one guy who can say that if anybody can name someone that's DC's DJ, that's me.
Yeah, definitely.
You know what I mean? Like, straight up. So, you know, because I've been able to work with all these guys, like everybody from my time coming up, and some of the guys that came after us, I've worked with all of them. You know, in some capacity, I've worked with all of them. DJ for them, did studio work with them, done some artwork for them, done some production for them. You know, did scratches on their records or something. You know, yeah, you know what I mean. So that was one of those building blocks right there, and it gave me confidence. It really gave me confidence, because I learned a whole lot. You know, Steve Coleman was on some of those dates, so I got to meet him, and you know, it really reinforced my perspective of what we did as art, not just a commercial vehicle. You know what I mean? There's crossover there, but I really think like a lot of how we did what we do, how we think, is just a little bit different, and it puts me in a position sometimes. But I get tired of certain stuff, because I think it's so. I get bored because I literally have to slow myself down in the way I think to try to quote unquote keep up with everybody else. You know what I mean?
I mean,
because I got an artist mind state.
That's the truth right there. You just laid the truth right there, man. Like, you know, you are DC's DJ. I admit that. Like, seeing you go through, like, you know, actually through this interview, and then, like, you know, like, you contributed so much. No one can say you haven't contributed anything. But like, you know, that's a real major thing. So people have to know who DJ RBI is.
Most definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely.
Talk a little bit about your experience of the hip hop music theater with Camilla Forbes.
Oh man. So once again, man, last year was a tough one for the family. You know, I say the family being, you know, when you hit the road with people and you share hotel rooms, and you go out to eat, and you meet people's parents and their cousins and brothers and sisters and everybody. You know, you develop bonds with these people that last you for your life, you know, and everybody involved with that play is still connected to each other at some point. So we're talking about a play called A Rhyme Deferred.
Rhyme Deferred, yes. That
was produced by the Hip Hop Theater Junction, and a lot of very brilliant minds were involved with the conception of that thing, and its execution, and its evolution. And Camilla Forbes, excuse me, her pen game, you know, was heavy up in that thing. You know, putting the play together,
right,
with contributions from brothers like my man Chadwick. You know, so when I talked about, you know, a blow was dealt. You know, everybody knows that Chadwick Boseman passed away last year. You know, Chad was an integral part not only of the performance aspect, but of the conceptual aspect of Aram Deferred. And you know, we all shared that play. We performed that play for about 3 years, maybe a little more.
Right.
And we are considered to be pioneers of what people know to be hip hop theater, right? So I've been told this to my face, you know, by professionals who remember Aram Deferred for helping to plant the seeds for what most of people know as hip hop theater through Hamilton. You know what I mean? But that was where we were, amongst other minds like Sama Uni 24, and you know, a few other people who were all kind of doing their own version of this around 98, 99, 2000. And our thing was a Cain and Abel story with very esoteric elements, and it drew together the living parts of what we knew hip hop to be around the turn of the millennium. So you're looking at the elements such as DJing, myself, my man DJ Think, my man DJ Eskimo, my man DJ O, who were all part of that on the DJing side. You had, you know, the MC, so you had my man Jabari Exum, you had my man Kokai, Priest, Wes Felton,
I think Scorpion was part.
Rashad, aka Scorpion, you know, on the MC side. And we had and also Meredith. Camilla was an MC too from Shy Garden. But yeah, man. Then you had the B-boys from Lions of Zion. You know, that got busy. I think some brothers from Natural Elements got busy. I can't remember who was doing the graffiti backdrops, but you know, legit. Everything's legit. And then we had spoken word pieces and stuff like that, like Queese and Chadwick himself. You know, we're doing things like that as far as contributing to that thing. And, you know, Nikeia, you know, that's the whole, you know, the whole crew, Camille, you know, the more I think about them, all the names are coming back.
Right.
And yeah, we really did it up, man. It was a production. It was laid out. It had a storyline. We all played our parts to make sure we fit the right way. So we had to look at it and consider ourselves necessary moving parts to an entire production, and it's live. So we didn't do anything when we taped it. Everything was right there. So we had to make sure the timing and everything was right. The music was right. We had to make sure we picked the right music. You know, we had to display our skills, you know, cutting and scratching as sound effects for a particular instance. You know, somebody's throwing a punch, I'm scratching the Street Fighter. You know, I have a scratch record that has Street Fighter punches and kicks, you know, on the record, and I'm scratching these in, you know. And so when someone loses a round, I scratch in, you lose, you know, stuff like that. You know, we had a lot of fun with that thing, man. And
that's a dope experience. Like, yeah, man.
Yeah.
And to have Chadwick Boseman to be a part of that, that as well. Very special, man. Very special. Man.
A lot of people were around, man. Ta-Nehisi Coates, everybody loves Ta-Nehisi. You know, Ta-Nehisi was down. You know, yeah, it was dope. It was dope, and that led me to working with Jabari more. Like, so he and I got real tight during the play. So we wound up moving ahead from Aram Deferred, and eventually I was like the fifth Beatle of the Human Prophets. You know what I mean? You know, with my man Baye and my man Amadou. You know,
that's dope.
And Chadwick was a part of that.
Right.
That circle, and Mamouna Youssef as well. So we were all, you know, all moving that energy around.
So much, man. What's your role in the Hip Hop Museum?
Hip Hop Museum, big ups. I've got to stop saying big ups. Please, someone, y'all type me a new thing to say. Give me something new to say in the comment section. But show some love to all the folks over there. It's another production, man. Another very tenacious group of people, especially my man DJ Boom. You know, DJ Boom basically was like, you know, most folks knew him for running Listen Vision Studio, and somewhere along the line, he started getting an idea to want to sell merch. You know, and I think that idea kind of sparked him into thinking about, well, I'm collecting all these items and stuff. You know, he started a little museum room over at the studio, and I think at one point it was like, yo, I want to do this. I want to take this further. You know, because we're doing programming. He was doing programming on Listen Vision WLVS, which is their web station. You know, so if you go there, you know, you can watch different shows and stuff that's produced out of the studio. Right. And they would do weekly interviews with hip hop artists and stuff like that. So I think that was a big influence on him wanting to take it a step further. And so show some love. Everybody saying much love. Give it up. Okay, so I rock with that. Give it up. I'm gonna give it up. I'm gonna give it up. I'm gonna give it up to DJ Boom. I'm gonna figure out a way to make that mine though. But yeah, Boom he's another smart one. Boom reminded me of how Mozzie and myself. I'm gonna give myself credit because I try to make sure I don't deal with no scrubs. You know what I mean? So when you see me rolling with people, they're legit. You know, you see me put something together, it's legit. You know, I used to do shows and stuff, and you know, used to put shows and stuff together. I always try to make sure it's legit. So I give that to Boom as well. So Boom put together an ensemble of people to help him facilitate the execution of the museum, and the museum includes housing space for now. It's a pop-up. So, you know, before COVID, we will move the things around to different locations. Right. So one long-standing location was the Blind Wino in Southwest DC. Really big space. Used to be a church. Really big space. And so he had a gallery space in there, and would get different items from all over hip-hop. They had like what we call, I'm trying to remember what term they used, but they're basically these boxes, you know, and they would put all these different items related to a particular artist in there. So like, say a Wild Style jacket from the movie, you know, will be in one of the boxes, along with, you know, a record from the movie and some movie tickets or a flyer or something like that, you know, in a box, you know. And man, Angel is on. Angel's dropping like mad phrases in the joint. You can stop now. I'm gonna roll with "Give It Up." But yeah, man, Boom. Read some. I'm gonna start getting the name of everybody, but I can't remember everybody's name off the top of my head. But,
it's all right.
But Boom assembled. He got myself as music director.
Right.
Red Summer, Christine L. Bowen, Geechee Dan, legendary Geechee Dan, Jaquan, the hip hop historian. He's the GOAT. I'm gonna tell y'all, I know a lot of hip hop stuff, and I can go toe to toe with Jay on some stuff. I'm gonna keep it a buck. But when it comes to certain stuff, he'll wash me. Jaquan is the man. He's a dude. You know what I mean? The hip hop historian right there. Thefoundation.com. That's my dude. But Boom was smart enough to get him. Right. Geechee, myself, CLB, Red, my man Jacob, and everybody else. I'll think of everybody else soon. But to put this thing together, and I've been honored because he trusts my talent enough to know I'm going to deliver. I've been producing montages. I've produced. Of course, I DJ, so you know I'm setting the mood and things like that. But I'm also very keen on a lot of these artists and their musical catalog. So a lot of stuff is unplanned. When we do stuff live, I'm just listening out for stuff, but I'm often throwing stuff out there while they're interviewing people. And I catch the artist's ear all the time. They just like, how did you know to play that? You know, things like that. They really enjoy stuff like that, you know, just accenting the moments, you know, with songs and stuff like that. But yeah, I've done a lot of production, like a lot of pre-production for a lot of the events. So like when the walk-on music, I'll actually go through and produce, you know, the walk-on music by taking different phrases and stuff like that to kind of big up the artists as they walk on stage and things like that. They really enjoy that kind of stuff. Right. So you can go to Hip Hop Museum DC. I think that's the I think that's the Instagram page. You can go through some of those. You'll hear some of my work on there. In particular, look for the Master Ace one. I had a real good time doing that because I did all scratches on that.
That's dope.
All scratches on that.
So you addicted like
Well, I'm sorry. Last thing I'll say is what the museum has done most recently is going through the trouble to create an institution to honor to permanently honor and to publicly honor a lot of the people who've contributed to the culture as we know it. You know, going as far back as Coke LaRock, who was Kool Herc's first MC, all the way down to brothers from the DMV like DJ Book, DJ CeeLo, DJ Iron, DJ Trini, Nonchalant, you know, DJ Cool, Grandmaster Caz, of course, from the BX, Mystical from New Orleans, Bun B from UGK from Texas,
right.
even Cuckoo Cow from Milwaukee. You know what I'm saying? They all got some institutional love from the museum, and so I give my man a lot of credit for that. A lot of people just keep getting at him like, "Where's the RBI exhibit?" So you know, we'll work on that.
Yep, that's next. That is next.
Yeah.
Yeah, yo. Nah, this has been a very dope, fresh convos. I'm glad everybody in here is enjoying themselves. RBI has been taking us through a journey, his journey. You know, this is why it's important to like tell our stories, because there are stories which is basically hip hop history in DC.
You know what? I just remembered the person's name. I was trying to think of.
Go ahead.
It's my man Renaz Peoples. Renaz Peoples. That's who he works with J Mills too. He's down with my man Slim and everybody. He has some Duke Ellington time as well. I don't know what he keep changing his name, so it just came to me.
Yeah, I know a lot of MCs that change their names so much. Like, you know, kind of like, you know, just call them their government name at the end of the day. I'm just like, okay, right. You know?
Right, no doubt.
So one last question. Well, two more actually. Okay. One, what would you pass on to the next generation that wants to do what you do? For the young DJs, let's say.
Literally what I often tell them is, well, one of the things I say, man, just take it seriously. Take it seriously, because one of the things that I notice from a lot of people is they have the desire to be successful at this, right? And that's not to say I'm where I want to be, right? But I do have a track record. And I do believe, I can humbly say, if you take me out of this thing, history is going to change. You know what I mean? So, you know, but what I say to them is just take it seriously. Don't get too lost in insecurities. Don't get too lost in other people's lack of vision, because people who are around us are often one of our first influencers. Right. And often whether they're haters or whether they just don't have the aperture that you have, their lack of vision can inform it and infect and poison your potential. Take it seriously. Try to, if you can get mentors, get mentors. Study if you need to. Study when you need to. Have fun with it. Yes. And believe in yourself. You got to believe in yourself. You got to believe in yourself. You know what I mean? You got to believe in yourself and take those chances. You're going to take some L's. Yep. You're going to take some L's, you know, figure out how to get around that, get over that, and jump back out there, you know. Try to, as much as you can, try to be a man of your word or a woman of your word. Learn how to say no and mean it, and don't be too upset with yourself for saying no. Because I say for myself, I'm still getting myself into situations because I didn't say no. You know, because I think I can do everything. You know what I mean? You know,
Right.
I think I was like, if I know I have the talent to do it, so I'm gonna try to do it. And right now, look, I'm gonna wink to my man Mozzie. I got you, man. Got some stuff I gotta finish for him. But yeah, Subs, he's saying training. Yes, that's true, man. You gotta train yourself. You know, get on top of it.
Right.
You know, I say one thing that's really cool. A lot of the guys that I do personally know, they have access to my network. You know, so you know, when they need to talk to people or whatever, a lot of times my network is available to them. The people that I know, they're forming their own relationships with them aside from myself.
Right.
But yeah, that's the main thing, man. And try to make sure you get what you need to succeed. So if that means, you know, definitely trying to have mentors around people who care, building relationships with people who have succeeded in certain places. And it's a lot easier to connect with people now because of the web. So, I mean, sometimes it may be as simple as a DM on Instagram, you know, to
Right.
ask somebody, you know, you may not think K Tronado is going to hit you back, but he might,
Hey,
you know.
that's
You know
great
what I'm saying?
advice. That's great
Yeah.
advice. Like Paul
Yeah. And
Howard
then,
said, that's great advice.
yeah. Hey, man, look, Paul, look, on the low, man, Paul Howard, dog. Paul Howard be killing it. Paul be killing it. Paul be killing it. Like, on the real, like, that's a good person to talk to. Like, straight up.
Yeah.
Paul be killing it. Like I'm talking about, like, not even just talent-wise, but Paul be on top of his business. Paul stays on top of his business. You know what I mean? Like Paul's sharp. He's sharp. You know what I mean? That's somebody who I can be proud to say I call him a mentor. You know what I mean? Straight up. I met Paul at Freestyle Union. I knew about Paul before I met him because he used to DJ on KYS.
Right.
But yeah, I mean Paul will give you the same, you know, he give similar advice, man. Like, you know, and you can't be Paul. You can't be Paul without Paul doing what I was just saying. Like,
Right,
Paul
exactly.
takes it seriously. You know what I mean? Paul takes it seriously. He keeps his network tight. You know, he stays on top of his business. He tries to make sure he's a man of his word. You know what I mean? People like him, people like my man Black Ink, you know, another guy, you know, I talk to very often. You know, he just tries to stay on top of his thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. I
but
mean,
yeah,
you got to
man.
keep in touch with all the artists around, young and old. So it's like the OGs and yeah, man, definitely.
Yeah, and get some
But
some books.
I'm coming back, RBI. I'm coming back
Word up.
in July.
I tell people to get it's a book. I say like this, okay, for you. I'm gonna recommend some people, okay.
Okay.
Aside from myself, I should say, like, so right now, either for consultations, I don't. Some people are you know, getting paid consultations, and other people, you know, they work for organizations and stuff. But look into like Words, Beats, and Life if you're a youngster, you know, trying to get a leg up, because it's a lot of resources at Words, Beats, and Life. A lot of resources there.
Right.
So looking at Words, Beats, and Life, I will say even look into my man Substantial has Substantial Music and Art. Look at them because they do a lot of consultations and
big
workshops.
Substantial.
Yeah, a lot of workshops and consultations as resources for people in the area. Asheru has Guerrilla Arts Inc. I know he's definitely helped to shepherd people to get, you know, for some of the things they want to do. My man ADST Music, look him up. You know, he's definitely been he's been helping a lot of guys out lately. You know, I've seen it with my own two eyes. You know, so that and they have another name for the other aspect, but Shaolin Jazz is my man Two Tone.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
Gerald's thing. So they have a different kind of forum because a lot of this stuff is performance based, but they do lectures and stuff like that. So I say look at them. And the last thing I'll say is you know, it might not be a bad idea to troop through Listen Vision. These are people I have relationships with, but I've seen how they've helped to improve, you know, or help to assist folks do their thing, you know.
Right.
You know what I mean? I mean, there's other people, you know, but those are some folks that come to mind. You know,
Nah,
what I mean?
that's real dope. You
Yeah.
heard it. You guys heard it here first. Tell
Yeah.
people where they can find you on social media.
Well, here's the thing. I'm about to first look. Here's what you do. Go to my profile and follow the other two Instagram profiles I have on there, which is Boom and Pow online and the Creative Venture. Those are two things I've been working on for the past few years, media wise and as a merchant,
Okay.
a merchandise or merchant mechanism to sell stuff. And I'm developing those into shows, you know. So keep in mind, keep up with me on those. I will be back on Ill Street Grooves on the first Saturday on WPFW. I got a few different networks that have been talking to me about coming and producing and shows. So just stay up on that. And the Hip Hop Museum is about to. Should I say anything? I'm not gonna say nothing. But follow the Hip Hop Museum because there's big things are going, you know. And since I'm the musical director, just kind of think about what that means. You know what I mean? In terms of programming, radio, stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Right, definitely.
Yeah. And I'll say follow Capitol Ill Radio because you know we ain't dead. We just not on PFW on Monday no more. Follow Ill Street Grooves, which is ILLSTREET Grooves Radio. I think that's the name of the new page. But it's either Ill Street Grooves or Ill Street Grooves Radio. But when you go there, you'll see what it is. And man, listen to them records, man. You know, I got stuff out, man. I got records out. You know, I got you know, go get that Substantial joint. Get Substantial's the New Balance with T. Lucas. You know what I'm saying? Hey, your man on them cuts. You know what I'm saying?
There you go.
You know,
What
I
else is out?
I
Like,
got a lot
you
of
know,
joints like that.
you got a couple joints out that's out now?
Yeah, man. I've been fortunate to be recruited to do scratches and stuff on a lot of folks' records, man. Recently, you can go straight to Bandcamp for a lot of these joints to pick up
Right.
the album to get the music. I know some of the guys have vinyl pressed up. So Uptown XO, he did a corporate over culture over corporate volume 1. I'm on a couple of songs on that with my man Drew Dave. I'm on Substantial and T. Lucas's single The New Balance. It's also a video on YouTube. Go check it out. I'm in the video myself, YU, Substantial, Javier Starks, T. Lucas. We're all in the video. I think Theory Has It is in the video. So we all up in that joint. Really dope video. You know, song is really dope. Got a lot of great feedback on that joint. Cuts his razor sharp on that joint. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely got to hear RBI on the cut. Yo.
Yeah, I'm gonna be on Priest's new joint that's coming out soon, but I was on his last album with a couple of songs. His single was called Food. The B-side to Can't Lose a Soul was Food. I got cuts on that, produced by Kev Brown. Everyone seems to like that one, you know. What else? Recent, man. I got so much stuff, man. I did some stuff with Maimouna Youssef. I'm bigging her up in general, but also go check out the song that I did with her with Zap Mama. She's on it.
Wow.
Yeah, it's called The Blooming. It's called The Blooming. So go check that out. But yeah, I got stuff, man. Just get those joints right there. And if you got any questions, just DM me because I got joints. I say like, man, I do quality stuff. So you know what I'm saying? I think you're gonna dig it. You know.
Of course.
I think you're gonna dig it. And I'm gonna say big up to my man. Stop saying big up. What's the word? What's the word she said? Give it up. I'm gonna
Give
give
it
it up.
up.
I'm gonna give it up to my man YZ, man. He just had a death in his family, I believe. I haven't spoken to him about it yet, but I saw it online, so I'm gonna give him a shout. But I want to show some love to my man YZ. Some of you guys may know YZ. YZ is late '80s, early '90s monster from New Jersey. You know, had hits like I'm thinking of a master plan, Tower with the Power,
Oh, yeah.
in control of things. Ghetto's been good to me, you know, Return of the Holy One, you know, stuff like that. That's my dude. So yeah, big up to him. Give it up to him and my
Give it
man
up.
Bobby Fine, you know. So I wanted to
Word.
show on that side, you know. Well, man, look, I'm almost as bad as DJ Premier when it comes to shout outs. You know?
Oh, that brother shouts everybody. He should
But
just
yeah, man, you know,
have a go-go instrumental in the back, and you know, that's
yeah.
it.
But man, look, it's you know, I'm very appreciative. This last year, the type of person I am is I kind of have a lot of empathy, you know, with certain energies.
Right.
So when the world kind of went to a tailspin last year, I was affected, you know, in a number of ways, you know, and I find myself to just make sure I'm forward thinking enough to regain my strength and revise where necessary,
Right.
and remix my vision. So that's where I'm at, and I say these things to say that I try to show the gratitude for the things I've been blessed with. So a lot of the things I think about, some of those blessings are manifested in the relationships I've been able to make with people, and I don't take those things for granted. So
Right.
that's why I do a lot of the big ups and stuff, because you know,
Nah.
I
I mean, you know,
put that
you don't
spark
need
in
to
the folks, man.
explain. Like, you know, it's energy, man. Everyone that made, like, you know, that was in, like, you know, part of what your growth was during as a DJ in DC. It's important to shout them out, of course.
For sure.
I mean, I miss people shouting out, you know, giving shout outs at the ends of songs and stuff.
Right.
You know, no one does that anymore.
Right.
Or seeing in the credits, like, you know, that whole shout out.
Right.
Seeing if your
Hey,
name
that
is
was
there
dope,
or
right?
not, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gave you something to do. And he's like, oh, so look, when you found out that so and so was down with so and so, it was
Right.
like, oh, okay, that's what's up, you know.
Yep.
When you look on the back of, I don't know, you look on the back of Public Enemy joint, and they shout out the entire world. It's like, yo, they shouted out Luke, they shouted out the Ghetto Boys, they shouted out
they shouted out everybody.
Mix-a-Lot.
You gotta, like, check them out.
Right.
Too Loud Crew. All right,
Right.
let me go check that out. And it's just like
Right.
another world, but I get it. You know what I mean? I mean,
Yeah.
I miss that in hip hop. If people like did that more than, like, you know, diss each other on World Star or whatnot, you know, it'll make sense, you know. But yo,
Right.
thank you very much for this interview, man. You're a legend among many. You know what I'm saying? But you're definitely the DJ of DC, man.
Hey, yo,
That,
real
man.
quick, what's so funny, man? YZ just popped up in the he just popped up in the chat, man. Yo, what up, YZ? I just shouted you out like 5-10 minutes ago.
Big up
The
to
Black
Wise.
Bank.
No, I was kidding. Big up.
Yeah.
Now
That's
you got me
YZ,
saying
right?
big up, man.
Yeah, the black bank is right there. That's YZ.
Word.
Give it up to YZ. You know,
Keep
I
it
saw
going.
Tori up in there too. Give it up for her too. But that's my brother right there.
A lot of people in this joint. Thank you very much. Next week we're gonna have Prowess the Testament, and we got like a big announcement next week about the Amphbns. Make sure
You know, we got that project together.
Hey,
Myself, Prowess, R&L Music, the Marvel too.
there you go. You got to mention that. Well,
Yeah,
she'll
yeah,
mention
music and
that.
Marvel too.
She'll
They got to
mention
get that, man.
joint next week.
It's a song on there called The Mad Titan, where my man RNL is playing the role of Thanos, and I'm doing the cuts in between that thing, man. It's all phrases from the movie. You got to check that joint out.
Nah, something to look
Check that
forward
joint
to,
out.
y'all. And don't forget Amphbns.com, AMPHBNS.com.
Word up.
Get the merch and stuff. And thank you once again, RBI. We got to catch up when I get back there.
For
You know
sure.
what I'm saying? And yeah, dope interview, brother.
Appreciate it, dog.
All right, y'all. Peace. And yeah, check this interview out. Tell your friends if they missed it. It's gonna be on the Amphbns IG. All right, y'all. Peace.